That's crazy. I'm trying to think of how to make Paul Newman assassinate the president a storyline in your film, and I bet I could
Right,
fit it
right,
there
right.
somewhere.
Yeah, that'll be like the movie that's playing on the TV that he was watching,
Exactly.
So
Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watcher Pass, and today I'm talking to Mike Cuenca, the writer, director, and star. He has a small role in Like a Dirty French Novel, which is releasing on August 28th, 2021 at Dances with Films 2021. We're going to talk to him in just a second, but first, let's check out the trailer. And while you're watching, if you could like and subscribe to this channel, that would be fantastic. It helps me out a lot. Thank you.
Hello? Your wife has 3 sons. They're driving me crazy. I can't take it. I'll take care of them.
I really love Silver Street Fox. I'm her #1 fan.
there we are.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You sound great.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining me. This is Mike Cuenca.
You got it.
Mike Cuenca, the director, writer, and star of Like a Dirty French Novel, which is releasing at Dances with Films 2021 on August 28th. So thanks so much for joining me. It's an interesting film. Like I don't really know how else to describe it.
That's the best way to describe it.
So I guess the first. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say very peculiar.
Yes, very peculiar. I feel like maybe this was a little bit of pandemic madness creeping in. I think this feels like a pandemic film. Was this kind of start to finish during lockdown type of a project, or was this something you started before and then kind of adapted when you had to because of the way the world went?
Well, I had some of these ideas since I was a kid, and then my co-writers Dan Roje and Ashley and we had like these different case scenarios that would happen during a pandemic. So it was kind of a mix of both, and then the pandemic that we have in the flick isn't our COVID pandemic. It's something else that's going on in the world where it's like these people that kind of can't stop moving, or sorry, the other way around. They can't move. They kind of get stuck in place, and they fall and are unable to get up. So I have a shared universe, and this other project that I've been shooting concurrently delves into that a little bit more. But yeah, it was and in the pandemic and in Dirty French Novel, it's sort of the MacGuffin. It's not something that we really concentrate on, but it allows for these stories to exist.
Well, and I thought it was interesting to see a film with people wearing masks because, I mean, there's a lot of movies coming out, and I think a lot of studios are trying to prevent that to show, a more normal, I don't know, more normal life. I don't know, they either don't want to acknowledge the pandemic or maybe they don't want to like date the film. But I thought it was very interesting to see that in, any sort of film where people kind of wear masks regularly. And then there's a little bit of humor and situations related to that I thought was interesting to see as well.
I think it adds to the whole absurdity in that universe that we created, which, when now that we're kind of having to wear masks again, especially indoors, it's really bizarre, So we even have a character that, is very vain. So even she has a drawing of a nose on the mask and lips. And I want to add to it's going to date the flick, right? But it also adds to the absurdity in this really pulpy, bizarre world that we're inviting you to hang out in for 78 minutes.
And it is definitely a strange world. I mean, I guess, so these stories you said were kind of things that you had in your head. Did you and your co-writers have kind of individual scenarios that you then weave together to kind of form a through line narrative? Or, had you been kind of building up this story and these characters before, and then you just kind of finally had the opportunity to put them down and create this world?
I was a teen. I had a notebook with ideas, and I always wanted to do a story. I didn't even know how it was going to work, but I just wanted a story of like this strange caller with these like gloves with stars on them, and she's really sultry, and she kind of knew everybody's secrets. And I still didn't reach the potential of what I want to do with that story, but we included it in here. And the title was taken from a Velvet Underground song, which the Velvets were my favorite band when I was a teenager. I mean, I still love them, but that was all I listened to, for a long time. So I had that title, and then I had that idea of the collar, and then we started, kind of shooting ideas around of things that criminals or very shady people could get away with during a situation like this, because there's kind of a portal to be able to swap places with someone and no one realize it. Or, what if, cliche scenario, you're stuck living with an ex and now you're there and you can't stand each other, and what would happen if that person were a femme fatale? Or what would happen if this person was sexually frustrated and you had this person calling them and luring them and tempting them and knowing so much about their past? What would happen in these scenarios? And we just really wanted to have fun. We wanted to do something really fun that you can watch and take at face value everything that's going on. It's really absurd. You can be intentionally confused, but then you realize that it's all really connected and it's actually a non-linear story. And then you can rewatch it, and then when you watch it again, you're gonna see how everything really fits. So
I just love that this was based off of your favorite band growing up. I'm trying to think of like the movie I would make with my favorite Tool song, Anima, and I just don't really want to think about that movie. I mean, that'd be weird, but
it'll probably be something, very bizarre and strange. Or like their famous music video for Sober or something.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That.
Maybe similar though, right?
I think I even when I was a kid, I started writing a screenplay that was entirely inspired by Radiohead's OK Computer.
There you go.
And I wanted to do like something that would capture the tone of each song, and each scene would reflect one of the songs. But that was fun to do when I was a kid.
I'm waiting for that. That'll be a good follow-up. I also did like, kind of your envisioning of these different pandemic scenarios. And there was one instance where, like you said, two people that are living together and they're maybe sexually frustrated. I think, one starts to explore other options. And I like how, the reaction was, hurt from, their lover or their, I guess, wife, maybe. I'm not sure what their relationship is, cheating on them. But then also, like, did you get infected? Like the added concern of like, also you have met with someone else. Like, is that going to infect this household that we are in? Which, I think is a very relevant.
Which could have right. And it could have that double meaning too. It's like, sure, it works for whatever disease is going on in this world, but it could also, be a substitute for HIV, and then, so a lot of the movie has a lot of double meaning, even lines that you think are throwaway lines that don't make sense. Once you go back the second time around, it's all intentionally placed there for you to be confused at first and then go, oh, I get it now I realize what they're talking about. And then we tried really hard not to fully alienate people, but we also didn't want to hold your hand. I wanted to literally be like a jigsaw puzzle, and every time you come back to it, you're going to find something new that fits in that whole story.
Yeah, definitely. And I do like your point about how everything seems disparate, because I think, in my review, I actually wrote that, like, this feels like a bunch of different stories that don't really, you don't have the full picture until the very end, when then everything kind of meets together. And that's the non-linear storyline. It's also just kind of the strangeness of the scenarios. I was like, how could these possibly fit together? But, they do at the very end. So.
Yeah, it's like you have to pay a lot of attention and you have to have patience, so that's just it at the end of the day. But you can also just enjoy it for what it is and just be like, this is something bizarre and I'm just going to spend some time here.
Exactly. So I guess the next question, you have these stories. How did you find your cast? Were they people that you worked with, or just people that were bored during the lockdown? Actually, I still actually don't know. Was this filmed during lockdown, or was this filmed before? It just happened to be. We
shot it like the last week of October, bleeding into the first week of November.
Okay.
And that was also too, are we going to shoot this thing on the streets, this guerrilla, and then we're going to have a bunch of people in the background with masks. So we got to kind of explain what's going on there, So yeah, and it's just a bunch of friends that I've worked with before, or our actors, and even the crew is just friends. We just wanted to make something. That's just it. There's really no other ulterior motive past that, and just something that's entertaining and that we can watch and have a laugh at.
I've talked to a lot of filmmakers that have that kind of same mentality. They're just like, we wanted to do something. We wanted to make something, take some control of the situation. So, I think that's a great way to kind of get some of these interesting stories told.
It was a good exercise.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, it's a challenge. Can we do this? And then, should we do this? It might be the next question.
Should we do this? Right.
One of the most striking things about the film are the Halloween masks that you don't really know what their purpose is at the start, but as the movie goes, you kind of figure it out. Where did you get those? Were those just masks that you had lying around? I guess you filmed in October. Did you just go buy some like Halloween costumes nearby? Or
I've done that before, but we didn't do that this time. I meet Tran, my girlfriend, who's actually a really great artist. She's a tattoo artist, and she is incredibly creative. She designed the superhero costumes. She designed most of the stuff that you see in the flick, and
wow.
we wouldn't have been able to do the movie without her, but she made those masks. And I was just honestly gonna go to the 99-cent store. I was gonna grab a bunch of Halloween masks, and I'm like, or those creepy transparent masks that have like the makeup on them already.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
Which I think are totally terrifying.
Yeah, that would make it a very, very different movie.
Yeah, totally. So she's like, she drew something up and she just started making them out of paper mache, and I was like, these are awesome. They're actually hanging up in our bedroom now. But it's I loved it, and it adds to the pulpiness and a slight bit of campiness that the flick has, because it's it's intentionally funny.
Yeah, exactly. I think that it's good that they're kind of like unsettling looking, but they have enough kind of artistic value and also just randomness that it does feel very pulpy. So one other thing I was wondering, at the end there's talk about some coincidences, and I think one of the things that's mentioned is like John Wilkes Booth's brother saved Abraham Lincoln's son, and there were a couple others. Were those actually real, or was that just clever writing? I wasn't sure.
No, they're totally real. That like even Obi-Wan predicted James Dean's death, the exact date. Alec Guinness like actually predicted his death.
Oh wow.
And it ended up happening. The whole story with the John Wilkes Booth's son, that is wild. That is wild. And there's this amazing podcast that I highly recommend that Dan Roje, the co-writer, he's a gigantic fan of, and it's called The Memory Palace. And their whole approach is that they don't even give you a little synopsis of what the episode's about. And the episodes are about maybe like 3 minutes to 8 minutes. They're very short. But you just listen in and you're drawn into this world and you have no idea what they're talking about initially. And then it starts revealing a story. The narrator, he's fantastic. He starts narrating the story, and then it's all this bizarre stuff that happened in history that we have forgotten about. But he goes really in depth into the whole like coincidences between John Wilkes Booth and all that stuff. And they even like align John Wilkes Booth as being like, I don't know, he was probably like the Paul Newman of his time. He was that big of an actor. So you can imagine Paul Newman assassinating the president. That's how big that was. And then like his brother's career got entirely just derailed because of this. And then years pass, and then the strange coincidence happens where they have this relationship and someone saves the other's life.
That's crazy. I'm trying to think of how to make Paul Newman assassinate the president storyline in your film, and I think it could fit in there somewhere.
Yeah, that'll be like the movie that's playing on the TV that he was watching.
Exactly. There we go. So I know we have limited time. Some of the I call it the lightning round. This is very lightweight questions that relate to things that happen in the film. Thankfully, there's enough strange occurrences in the film that I've got plenty of them. And I just want to see if your experiences map on to anything that the characters have done. The first question is: have you ever had a mustard sandwich?
Not just straight up mustard, but possibly bread and mustard, and just ate it that way.
Yeah. What is the strangest kind of like pandemic food that you've had, just probably out of pure laziness from not getting groceries or not being able to buy what you specifically want?
Nothing that bizarre, but I originally was pushing for like peanut butter lox and sriracha sandwiches for that scene, and it was just going to get way too messy.
Oh, that is a type of food. Oh my god.
That is disgusting.
Yes. Have you ever seen or been in quicksand?
No.
Okay.
I played the game as a kid, but like in a ball pen or something like that.
Yeah. I was trying to think, like I've never actually seen quicksand. I've seen like tar, so like I've seen like a tar pit, which is probably similar, but yeah, I've never actually seen quicksand. So
that wasn't actually our intent. It's not they're supposed to be just frozen in place, but Miles ad-libbed, we're in quicksand, and we're like, you know what, let's just make that happen. And I think that was a bad choice on my part, but it's still funny. We got that hand in the sand, and it's still campy and cheesy and all that, but it works, but it wasn't our intent. They're just supposed to be kind of frozen in place.
Got it. I actually wasn't sure, like in the when I was watching, I was like, is this like intentionally campy, or is this just like budgetary issues? We couldn't make quicksand.
Yes, that's the that was just improvised on the spot, but yeah, it's intentionally campy.
Excellent. Do you have a bookmark?
Do I have a bookmark? Yeah, like a digital bookmark, or something that I put in my books?
Like a something that you put. I guess the first question is, do you have books? Like this might be the first question.
So I had a bookmark that was ripped from a magazine that was similar to the one that we use in the movie, because I needed something. And then I was like, when we were writing the script, I looked at that thing and I'm like, oh my God, this should play a key element in the story. So if you watch the flick, pay attention to that bookmark.
Yeah, well, okay. So that was kind of the question. Like, do you have something similar to that? I had a similar thing when I was reading. I had just like a page I'd ripped from a magazine that just became my bookmark for, back when I read books, back when books were a thing. So
what are those?
I don't know. They prop up my table somewhere. So what is the strangest outfit that you've worn outside during this whole lockdown?
I'm not that adventurous with I guess my clothing in that sense, but one of my castmates who is the lead in my first flick, Jerry Powell, he's one of the henchmen that kidnapped Bugs in the car. He's the guy that's driving, the one that's sort of barking. Now, if you ask him, Joey Halter, about what he wears, we went to this show last Wednesday, for example. It was a gun club tribute show. And he's there and he's wearing this black wig and it's kind of like, I don't know, Gilligan's hat, but it's black leather. And he's wearing like this very vintage, frilly Victorian Lestat sort of button up.
That's
and then
amazing.
he's wearing leather pants with a cod piece. So he does that for fun and for kicks, but he's probably the one that would have answered that question a lot better than I would.
Yeah, that is actually a great answer. I think you should maybe take some inspiration. I mean, my answer is more of just like, I'm just lazy. So like I have these horrible orange Crocs. I was like, well, it's the pandemic and these fit fine. So I might as well wear these. And so, and the last question is, have you ever done something differently just because, like write with your other hand or take a different route to work just to kind of change it up?
Well, that's a total like a chaos theory thing. I think it works. Like if you that classic Seinfeld episode where George does opposite things and his whole life changes in a positive manner, it sort of works. It's really weird. Don't take the same route that you take to work or whatever, and just be a little bit experimental. It's really interesting when you break that stuff down and realize how much stuff you do subconsciously. Like you don't even think about it.
Yeah.
So it's great to stop and like do something different and see how it alters your day. But I'm a little bit superstitious too. I always put on my left shoe before I put on my right shoe. I don't know why, but I always do that. And some days I'm like, I'm going to tempt fate right now. And I'm going to put on my right shoe first and see what happens. I don't keep a record of it, so who knows, but if something actually changed, but I think it's interesting.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. Especially in the last, this crazy, was it 2 years now that we've had? Like, it's good to just change things up because a lot of people kind of got stuck in a routine and,
right.
It's good. Even if it's something small like that, something that you notice is different is a good thing. And I'm glad to hear you didn't like instantly break your foot when you put on your right shoe first.
Watch that happens next time. And I'm like, oh no.
Knock on wood quickly.
Stranger things have happened.
And so the film is being premiered, I believe on Saturday, on August 28th, 2021. Maybe that's Sunday. I think it's actually Saturday. So, I imagine you're going to be promoting the film and, talking to people about it. But, what's next for you? It sounds like you have some other projects related to this world, in the works. And is there anything else that you're working on as well?
Yeah, we've had those passion projects that Dan and I have co-written that I'm very proud of, and they're very different. They're not intentionally campy or anything like that. They're movies that we really want to make that are much more like in line with the 70s New Hollywood character studies, But we just finished a treatment for what we're basically calling the slasher movie to end all slasher movies. We're not going to go by the generic, killer slowly winding down, acing teenagers one by one. We're not doing that. We're doing this really epic, ingrained story that's a tribute to giallo flicks, a tribute to a lot of our favorite horror flicks. But it's much more serious with the tone of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is my favorite horror movie of all time. And we really would love to make that the way that we want to make it, envisioned it, and we definitely need a budget for that. But that's like there's no way in hell we would be able to do it the way we made this flick, And I also don't want to screw it up by doing that. But I hope that's one of our next projects.
Well, I am a big horror fan, so I'm looking forward to that. I'd love to see the penultimate slasher movie to end all slasher movies. So that sounds perfect.
Awesome.
Well, thanks so much for your time. The movie is Like a Dirty French Novel. Like I said, it's premiering on Saturday, August 28th, 2021, and then presumably it'll probably be coming to digital sometime in the future, right? Are there plans for release after the premiere, or is it going to kind of run the festival circuit and see what happens?
Yeah, run the festival circuit. We got a few other parties interested, so that would be cool if we can get it in other regions of the States and people can actually watch it inside of a movie theater. Because at the end, it's going to be fun. I think it's a movie that, yeah, it's intentionally meant to be watched with a crowd and people can laugh with it and laugh at it, and just enjoy themselves, especially, at the midnight hour. I think that would be really fun.
Yeah, no, I think this is a movie that would be fun in a crowd, just to kind of get the shared experience and the shared reactions of the things that happen. I'll let you see it for yourselves. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for your time.
Take care.
All right, bye.
That was Mike Cuenca, the writer, director, and star of Like a Dirty French Novel, which is releasing on August 28, 2021 at Dances with Films 2021. It's a throwback grindhouse film that was filmed during the pandemic, so it has some relevant imagery and also some jokes and situations that I think we can all relate to. If you liked this interview, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot and makes sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.